fact that we are actually looking inwards and trying to build the local industry with local authentic stories, okay, it's something that is very, very commendable, because when you build your local stories, you're not depending on Hollywood, you have a strong local content industry, okay, then definitely people are going to pay attention. Like she said, the power of having those numbers that, okay, you can actually show to say that these are the number of people that went to pay, okay, it's something that would definitely, speak volumes for the local content industry and let people understand that there's a huge, huge, huge opportunity for our industry locally. So please, filmmakers in the house, take ownership of this. Her success is your success. That's the way I say it. Absolutely, yeah. So if we're able to hit that 1 billion mark, then it's also going to build more confidence for the industry. It's going to open up a whole lot more of investments, because people can actually now see that, we can actually deliver locally.
My perspective on it is quite different. But essentially, I think mostly it would be where to sell. All right. The most important thing would be Nigerians are mostly motivated by, all right, if I make the product, if I find a way to make the product, where am I going to put it? All right, and what are the possibilities of me being able to make money back on it? All right. Yeah, we have the VOD platforms, but it's still very, for lack of a better word, for the privileged. All right. I think that would be the biggest problem. I think we really need our own local VOD structure, all right, that is ready to take certain risks, certain risks, and ready to involve the filmmaker in the back end of the process and of the profits.
I think we're having a bit of a challenging year in terms everything's up in a flux, where the cost of things are generally all over the place. I also think that it's not just having or putting funds together. I think the application of it is also it's changing drastically, and the audiences are becoming more demanding of better quality films, and therefore you're right, the performances of films have been kind of all over the place this year. The truth is there are a lot more entertainment options, a lot more platforms, showing these films. And why I mentioned this point is that a lot of the films have actually had decent, I dare say that there's been more P&A investment this year than any other year. I dare say, yes. And so what you're seeing is an industry in transition, and we've just got to come to terms with, doing more spectacle. We have to come to terms with not ignoring the audience. Come to terms with, like, look, 2,500, 3,000 naira, for a film ticket, they will compare it with seeing Thor or seeing, Avatar, and we have to be ready to rise to the occasion to give them as good as Thor or comparable or the same kind of entertainment value. And we need to find the touch points that, connects them to then make that decision on buying tickets. I think so. The issue is a lot of distributors are working to the fact that, and because a lot of distributors also have the streaming relationship and the deals, they know that the box office performance is very vital to the licensing deals that they have, and therefore there's an incentive to invest in the P&A so that the box office number is, so it's not lost on us. It's now the content and the application of the funds, that you put in P&A. That's where, again, and we're thankful for an industry where day after day you're seeing data sets that you read and you interpret and you have the chance to, adapt when necessary.
Thank you very much. I'm going to say something very controversial, but it's not for debate. I personally think, maybe it's not controversial, I don't know. I leave you to decide. But I think that it's not the duty of producers to take care of P&A. I think distributors, yes. I mean, it's something, it's a place that I disagree a lot with Moses, okay? And because I also come from a distribution background, the cost of print and advertising should actually be a recoupable cost borne by the distribution companies. That is how it is done outside of Nigeria. I don't know why it's different here, that filmmakers have to take care of the cost of production. They have to go source money for production, and at the end, they still have to take care of the cost of P&A. No, I don't think I want you to respond to that.
You have to give me one line, at least one line. At least one line.
I really want to get to this point.
No, but it's not going to be an argument. It's not going to be an argument.
Okay.
Look, I accept the point.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know whether I agree, but I accept it. So I wanted to be sure. I accept the point that that's how it's done in other climes. But other climes have structured, markets, have almost a guaranteed monetization cycle. In Nigeria over the years, I know we've talked about
Are
this.
you saying that you're not ready to take the risk?
No,
that the
so
producers alone should be at the risk?
Let me. I'm trying to paint a picture and set context.
I didn't want to get to
I
this.
know. Set context, but it's very important that the filmmakers also understand, right? And so for years where we've talked about it, the industry was not at a place where distribution companies could also take that risk.
Okay,
there was just not enough platform. Now the conversation is being had. Now those investments are being made, but it's also based on terms. So if the distributor is going to commit so and so amount of money, what kind of terms are we talking about? You're not going to say distributors should commit so and so P&A just to get theatrical rights in one territory.
Why can't you just recoup it?
But recoupment is subject to a lot of risks, like box office performance.
So it's back to risk.
No, but of course it is. Of course it's risky. A business. It's not free.
Yes, Sika, and a pleasure to be here today at NIFS Summit as a panelist for probably the second or third time. In terms, I was just talking about some of the key things that need to happen or can happen to enable the Nigerian entertainment industry and sector to really get to where it needs to be. I think we need a couple of reforms in policy. The audience measurement for television is something that can actually drive growth from our current $300 million to $3 billion in free-to-air television by 2030. I think that's a tangible number that's real with our population and 400 TV channels, that once we have measurement and line of sight and advertisers can see who is watching what, then it gives an opportunity to linear television. Obviously, with the streamers coming into the marketplace and original commissions already at $50 million per annum made money in this market, I think by 2030 we may be at $500 million to $1 billion of original commissions coming from global streamers. So Netflix, HBO, Disney, Amazon, Apple TV, all of these guys. But the biggest opportunity for me might well be the domestic, because as you said, I said $3 billion on free-to-air, so the domestic opportunity is bigger than the streamer opportunity. Now, on top of that, I think for independents, which of course Nollywood is an independent filmmaker community, which hasn't got a big institutional capital behind it, and they haven't yet built massive production companies. So we need to build bigger production companies. But for this to happen and for people to get more opportunity, the most singular important thing that needs to happen is the banking sector in Nigeria needs to be able to back IP as collateral for funding projects. What this means is that ideas need to be funded, right? And why do I say this? California might be in the top 10 economies in the world, probably the top 6. And the two big things that drive the California economy are Hollywood and Silicon Valley. These two things are based on ideas, the creative economy and the tech economy. And if you're not funding ideas, you're not funding anything. So when Nigeria begins to fund ideas and put the resources behind the human beings that make up Nigeria, then the industry will be perfectly fine. Thank you.
I'm actually one of the filmmakers that was given a chance based without any prior experience by Film One in the past, and I think that's it's very commendable on them. My question mainly has been in Nollywood and in the film industry in general. Though Film One is trying to give directors and filmmakers an opportunity to showcase, there's also a trend that happens, which is from the actor's side. We tend to have the same faces repeated over and over and over again without giving people an opportunity to showcase. And this is still down to the fact that numbers, because they'll tell you, oh, if you don't have this or this or this person in your film, it's not going to sell, and you have to use the same faces. Luckily, when Film One and I spoke, we had an opportunity to break a few new faces into the film. I understand the concept of numbers, but how do we find a balance between creating an opportunity for new acting talent, which will also keep the popular talent on their toes, because I'm sure some of the filmmakers know that these actors, they don't do shakara for them when it comes to making film. How do we find that balance with giving new actors and new faces an opportunity to showcase and break into the market without also affecting the numbers? Thank you.
And I'm more about, and I love to feed off energy of an actor who is thirsty and as hungry as I am to deliver on a script. But I've also come to realize that in the cinema space, it's really about the box office, because we are in a climate where the success of your film is measured by how well it did in the box office. So you really have to find a balance, you know. Definitely we need, there are so many talented people out there. And I think that for me, for someone like me over the years, Moses has come to respect that I will use whoever I like, you know. And because he corrupts, maybe respects the story and he knows the energy. But this is, it's commerce and it's art. We have to find a way, you know, in between. The film has to sell. Do we need to grow new talents to take this space? Yes, we're already in a gambling situation. We're all gamblers. We're filmmakers. We're gamblers already. So why can't we just take that extra gamble and put in one new person and flank the person with already popular faces? Take a gamble. Let's breed new people, because truly, these stars, they are becoming a handful. We need new ones.
That would be a different conversation. But I think it's been, I mean, please can you put your hands together for this, guys? It's been very interesting. It's been very interesting. I struggle to control the conversation. I'm sure you noticed. I tried my best so that, but usually when you have this crop of people, it's always very intense. And I think it's, like Moses said, we need to just continue, because this can shape the industry, shape decisions, and you know, things that are actually happening. So on that note, I want to say thank you to every one of you. Thank you for finding time to come here, and thank you all. Also, a lot of people are also online listening to this conversation. Thank you to our online audience, and we hope that for the rest of the day that we all be here, because we have quite a number of lineup of activities for the day. Thank you, and have a great time.